Danny, what's going on, my man?
Can you hear me now, mate?
Yeah, man, I can hear you now, man. How you doing, man? I appreciate you supporting the channel.
No worries, bro. It was your Suleiman interview that I saw first, and so I do a bit of interviews as well. I've done a bit for Seconds Out, and I was really, really impressed. So I thought I need to get on Nan's content, and the rest of your content's been sick. So now I got to shout it out.
Nah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, man. What interviews have you seen besides the Suleiman interview?
So I saw the Lampley one. I enjoyed when, like, because obviously you don't really see, he doesn't do that much. I mean, yours was the first long form I had seen from him in a while, so that one was really good. And bits and pieces of Carlos Adames I've watched, and then like just some of the more like general box and stuff. So now really impressed. I've only been subscribed maybe 3 weeks, a month, but really good.
Oh no, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. I haven't interviewed nobody from the UK. I gotta get on that. I want to see if I could get Josh Taylor or something like that. Somebody who I'm interested in. You know who I like. I know you're from Ireland, but you know that
Yeah,
part of
that's
the
okay.
world. I hope you don't mind me lumping you guys. Are you
Nah,
gonna
nah,
jump me if I?
it's
All
all
right.
good, bro. It's all good.
I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to be. You know, somebody I like from the UK that I don't feel like he gets a lot of love is Joe Cordina at 130, the IBF champion.
Mate, Cordina's starting to get his flyers
You know, Joe
now.
Cordina. Yeah, I feel like that guy's really good. And honestly, he don't fight like a UK fighter. He fights like an American fighter. I really like Cordina, and I don't feel like the UK audience sees what I see. Like I don't know what it is. Like if I'm from the UK, that's the guy I'm getting behind. I'm like, that guy's good. But what's your opinion on him?
Mate, the problem with Cordina is he had a lot of inactivity up until maybe a couple of years ago, and he didn't really progress. And then a lot of people maybe thought the Agawa fight was too soon. He delivered that knockout, but he's starting to get his flyers now. I mean, I think the Rakimov and Ogawa wins are enough to have him as your number one, 130. I know you might have Hector, but Cordina's probably Matchroom and Eddie Hearn's like best fighter, pound for pound. To be honest, I wasn't really a believer in him up until the Rakimov fight. I thought the Ogawa fight was obviously like a knockout of the year contender, but it didn't really answer the questions people had because Cordina was a top amateur Olympian, but he had never really shown the grit, and he didn't seem like much of a puncher. But even with the Rakimov fight, he had to dig deep. Rakimov didn't stop coming forward. He had to stand and fight, and he hurt Rakimov a few times, and Rakimov's tough. So now Cordina's top draw. I think he's number one at 130 personally.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that, and I could sit here and be biased and say Hector Luis because I do think I think Hector got the best resume. He beat Colbert, who was ranked number 5 in Ring Magazine at the time. And then in his next fight, he beats Roger Gutierrez, who was ranked number 3. So he beat 2 top 5 fighters back to back in dominant fashion. But if I'm going eye test, like you know, if they did a tournament, who I think comes out on top, man, Joe Cordina is nice. Like he's good. Really good. He is really, really good. And I'm trying to think from the UK if he's the best from the UK right now. Because I think Josh Taylor, I think he's on the downturn.
He is.
He is good. Was good, but I think he's on the way down. Joshua, kind of the same. Oh well, Fury. All right, Fury's the best from the UK. There you go.
What do you know about Sonny Edwards?
Sonny Edwards is really good, skillful, and I think he's gonna win his fight against Bam Rodriguez.
I'm picking him to beat Bam. I think Bam's really struggled against guys who get on the back foot.
Yeah, the thing is with Bam, I was really high on Bam, who's scoring all these wins over these Quadras, and he beat what's his name SSR.
Yeah,
but start realizing these guys were older. Once he started facing guys that were like reasonably close to his age, he started struggling. And now Sonny Edwards got skills that drip out of him. Like this dude got skills on 1,000, and it's like, okay, now you fighting somebody relatively your age who's just as skilled, if not more skilled than you. And you were struggling with guys who weren't as skilled with you, and they just had your just the age bracket, the age wasn't that big of a difference. So I favor Sonny in that fight. I do.
Yeah, as you say, Bam's got the more eye-catching resume, but as you said, that was not the real Saur Rungvisai in with him. And even like Edwards, not his last fight, but his penultimate fight against Felix Alvarado. Alvarado was like a legit world champion at light flyweight, and he was fresh in his prime, and Edwards took him to school. So now I'm favoring Edwards, and I think he'll be Edwards are probably underdog with the bookmakers, I would say.
Is he? Is he?
I think so. I think he's opened up.
I'm gonna throw some dollars at that then, because I mean, unless it's boxing, so unless a funny decision happens, I think he should pull it out. I like Sonny, and he's a good talker. I gotta get him on the show.
Yeah, Sonny would be a good interview. Sonny's like, I've interviewed him once before, and he had done 3 or 4 interviews, and sometimes when fighters are doing the rounds, they'll just trope. I think he's got ADHD, and he's got energy for days, and he's not media trained at all. He will just set fire from the hip. You should try and get him on.
Wait, are you part of the media?
Yeah, I work freelance, so I've done stuff for Seconds Out. They would be the biggest one, and then sort of smaller channels. So I get bits and pieces.
Okay. Why don't you start your own platform?
I mean, I've toyed with the idea. It's just gaining traction, and in the UK, the market's so diluted, and you've got problems with access and stuff. That would be the dream, to sort of go solo with it, but it's difficult.
Listen, try to find your niche, because that's what I did with the Dominican boxing thing, and it's working for me, bro. So try to find your niche. I don't know. I don't know the UK enough to like give you suggestions, but try to do something. You saying it's diluted. Try to do something that nobody else is doing. So that's what I chose to do. I was like, all right, nobody's doing this Dominican boxing thing. All right, now if you just hear Dominican boxing, you don't think of a fighter, you think of me. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, same thing with the Suleiman interview, with the Jim Lampley interview. Those are things nobody else is doing. So that's how I go about my YouTube channel. So that's, since you haven't started and you're thinking about starting, that would be my advice to you. Try to think of what nobody else is doing, what makes you unique, and work hard, grind.
What I would say as well is boxing your side of the pond is in a lot better place than it is here, just across the board. If you compare the numbers if you go right to the top scale, your Fight Hub, Fight TV, and then you look at like IFL, and over here it's chalk and cheese. Boxing is really not in a great place in the UK in general, so that means there's less of the pie for everyone.
Well, you don't have to only cover UK boxing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but because the algorithm and stuff, you're not going to pick up where I'm not going to pick up traction from stuff in the States, because we have channels go out to cover. Like if you look, there's been loads of UK channels who went out to cover Spence Crawford, and they just don't get picked up in the States.
I see what you're saying.
It's tricky. It's strange how it works.
Yeah, that's weird. But hey, man, you know, well, there's a will, there's a way. You know, I'm sure you'll figure it out. But man, yo, definitely call in every now and then, man. I enjoyed the conversation. You about to be my new UK guy, like meaning like when there's a prospect come. You know what? I'm gonna ask you about a few prospects right now. What do you think of Adam Azim?
Azim, all the skills in the world, like really, really snappy puncher, but it's the same as any prospect. Like we don't know the things we'll know until, like the unanswerables. We don't know what his chin's like. We've never seen him. It's someone stick it on him. I know he went the distance in his last fight, but. And another thing about Azim, he's picking up a lot of hand injuries already. He was meant to headline a show in June. That was ruled out for a hand injury. He's picked up a few niggles before that. But I think him and Ben Whittaker, I don't know if you're going to ask about Ben after, are probably the two best or the two most promising UK guys right now. And Shane McGuigan says Azim, I think Shane McGuigan's one of the best trainers we've got over here, and he said Azim's the best he's had, and he's not one to sort of bullshit and hype up fighters who aren't worthy of it.
What do you think of a Gorko?
Agarco, like, he's from like really not far away from me, but it pains me. I'm not sold on Agarco. I don't know, like,
He had a tough fight in his last fight. That was a tough guy he fought in his
and that
last fight.
wasn't supposed to be a tough fight. That was supposed to be a fight in Ireland he could look good in and get a stoppage. And with Agarco, like, he fought at middleweight for a while, and he was never a middleweight. And even that screams out to me like he had to be really pushed to say, look, you should be fighting at light middleweight. And there's been sort of questions over his discipline and how much he wants it. And I don't know, like, he was with Frank Warren, like with Queensbury, and they were sort of happy enough to let him go to Eddie, and nothing's really happened for him so far. He's 26, coming 27. So I would like to see him really try and push on. I know they've announced that rematch between Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron. Get him back on that card and start moving, like, because I think he does need to start moving.
Okay, all right. Last guy I'm gonna ask about is, and I'm not a fan of this guy, so I don't know if you're a fan, but I'm not. Felix Cash.
Felix Cash, mate. He
I'm
is.
not.
Nah, mate. He's not. People aren't big on Felix Cash anymore. When he knocked out Denzel Bentley for the British title in 3 rounds, like, he was one of the most hyped, I would say, contenders, because you're not really a prospect at that stage, but he has stagnated. I don't know, have you followed what's going on between him and Amo Williams and the messing about he's done with that fight? Yeah,
Which
man.
is why I'm saying I'm not a fan. Listen. I like guys who ain't afraid to risk it. You know, my man. What's his name? Amo Williams willing to risk his reputation. Yo, bro, he's taking a risk just like you. Not mistaken. The fight was rumored to be in the UK, so it's not even like a thing where you know, I have to travel to your city or your country. Yo, bro, I'm willing to go to your country and you ducking. It makes no. So that's why I said I don't know if he was that's why I let you know before, and I don't know if he was a Felix Cash fan. I'm like, I don't like this guy. I don't like guys who do that. You can say, yo, man, I'm not ready for that kind of fight now. I'm still developing. That's okay with me. That's not a duck to me. To me, that's you knowing yourself and you wanted to work on a few things before you take a tough fight. But you're not gonna tell me you pushing the guy after your fight and you saying you'll knock him out, and then all of a sudden the fight don't get made because it's on your end. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, man.
Yeah, and there's other concerning stuff with Cash too. Like, even when he's brought up in interviews with Eddie Hearn, you can tell Eddie's getting a bit tired of the nonsense, and he's just left his trainer Tony Sims, and I don't know. I don't think things look great for the future for Cash. I have to say.
All right. What do you think of Dan Aziz versus Joshua Buatsi?
I love the fight. I love Dan Aziz. Dan Aziz is probably like one of the most popular guys in British boxing. Like, he's done it from the small hall shows up the levels, from English, British, European title. It's a really good fight, and I think it's a fight Buatsi needs, and he needs to look good in. He's another one whose career sort of stagnated a bit, and he's had his issues with Eddie, but I'm really looking forward to the fight. I don't know which way I lean in it. You know, it's a close fight.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like 175 needs a spark because, all right, we got 2 great fighters at the top 2. Like, those guys are elite fighters, top 10 pound for pound, both of them. And honestly, if you don't have both in your top 10 pound for pound, I kind of don't respect your pound for pound.
I agree.
After that, it just kind of like just really drops off. I feel like a fight like this could gain some traction where it's like, okay, why don't one of those guys fight this guy? You know what I'm saying? I'll be honest with you. I don't think either one compete with those guys,
No.
but there needs to be some kind of interest in 175. And this fight, I feel like, will create it'll create enough believers, not me, but it'll create enough believers like, hey, what about this guy? Especially if the guy wins in like dominant fashion. Do you agree?
It's a final eliminator for the WBA, but
right.
Yeah, and Buatsi turned down a shot at Bivol, which it's like that's sort of the whole reason he left Eddie. There was obviously, it wasn't just as black and white as that. It was a shot in Bivol plus 2 or 3 afterwards. But I agree with you. I don't think any of the guys over here can hang with Beterbiev and Bivol. I think the Beterbiev Smith fight probably favors Smith. another 6 months, more time for. I don't favor Smith in the fight, but I'm saying it's good for him the delay and Beterbiev to get slightly older.
More time to prepare, as well as, you know, Beterbiev is only getting older. So
100%.
What you say? Yo, bro, you got Instagram, Twitter, anything like that?
I'm on Twitter. I follow you on Twitter. I shared your Suleiman interview a few days ago, I think.
Yeah, message me so I can follow you back.
Top man, Joe.
Anytime you want to call in, talk some UK boxing or talk Dominican boxing, just know this American/Dominican here is what welcoming you here, and you cool, and you're more than welcome here. Just shoot me a message. I'll follow you right back.
Appreciate you, Joel. Nice one.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on, man.